Going to be doing rather a shorter vlog post today. Perhaps the people who haven't driven a Tesla Model S are unaware of the trip planning capabilities and limitations. First things first, when you enter a destination in the sat-nav, what it does is it calculates on this little graphy thing up here how much energy you're going to use over your journey. And I don't know if you can actually see this. If I put the zoom on and make it more obvious, there we go. Okay, so this particular journey is fairly flat, but what it actually does is take into account the gradient of the route that it's planned for you. Therefore, if you drive sort of fairly normally, the prediction for the range is actually extremely good in my experience. If you drive carefully, you can make a little bit back. If you drive really quickly, you'll probably lose a little bit. So let's have a look at what happens if you put in a destination that is quite plainly out of range. So under this little trip button here, it sort of plans your route out for you, telling you how long you need to charge at each of the places and how long the total journey time is likely to be. When you have a look at the graph, it will display the estimated power that you're going to have when you arrive at that first charging stop. Now, it doesn't take into account any other chargers other than the superchargers. And I think that's probably because Tesla can't be sure of the reliability of them, or whether they're working or in use or anything like that. Or even, for that matter, you can't be sure of the speed. Whereas with the superchargers, it knows that. It sends that information to the car, and the car will not try and use a supercharger that is out of order, which is quite a good feature actually. It's quite a nice added comfort building thing. So what would happen to that graph if you did decide to charge at a motorway service station using a non-supercharger? Well, it would just sort of have a little kink in it where you weren't going anywhere, and it would just go straight up, and then it would go down again according to the the power usage of the remainder of your journey. So it is fairly well thought through, but there are some significant limitations. It doesn't allow you to say, I need to arrive at my destination with 60% or 50% or whatever. So you do have to think a little bit about what you're planning on doing. What would be a really nice thing is if you could say, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go to somewhere else, and the car would plan out where you need to charge and how much, and you could say, right, there's a plug here, I'm going to charge using a wall socket, and you could actually use it as a proper trip planning computer, which is not a feature they've put in there, and I suspect they probably won't. Not because most people won't find it useful, but because the mere fact that it's there will put some purchasers off the idea, because it will make them think that perhaps it is going to be difficult to get from A to B in an electric car, which in my experience is certainly not the case, might add. So there you go. We are extremely lucky in the UK because we have this renewable energy provider called Ecotricity, who I use for my electricity and gas, and they get all their electricity from wind power. And they have spent the last 3 years building out a motorway service station charging network that is, whilst not particularly reliable, it's not their fault, I don't think. It's actually the manufacturers of the charge points, and most of them have got 2 different charge points, so hopefully one of them's working. And it just means that wherever you stop en route, more or less, you're going to get a little bit of charge. And as I found yesterday, you stop for 10-20 minutes, you find you've got an extra 20% in the battery, and it's easy to stop for 10-20 minutes when you're doing a 3-hour drive through heavy traffic, which almost every bit of England is nothing but heavy traffic. I hope you've all found this to be an interesting video, and if you have, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next instalment of my daily vlog. Bye!